preference, Dr. Hunter's statement actually was a preference. I mean, so that may be the way to couch it so that it doesn't come out and say CDC has a preference, but they do have I don't know if that's possible, but.
I'll go along with Dr. Szilagyi and others who says I don't feel like we have enough data to make a preference. And that I'm more comfortable making a preference only when we have clear data, a difference rather than uncertainty, because there's uncertainty every single year.
Yeah, and just to clarify, my point was exactly what Dr. Rowley was saying, is that I thought that what I was voting on is LAIV, is the effectiveness, not the comparative effectiveness. And a preference is really a true comparative effectiveness, and I just don't think we have that information.
Yeah, Dr. Lee.
So just to explain my thinking on this, I do think this is a comparative effectiveness vote. I was compelled by the data, recognizing that we can't predict what any season will hold, that there is a difference for H1N1 in historical years. I am cautiously optimistic, actually, that the data presented today would suggest that there would be reasonable effectiveness in a future season. I guess I worry that if it ends up not panning out, that we will be reversing our decision again in the following year. And so to me, this is a cautious way to wade into the ability to test out the hypothesis without having to reverse it every season. So I guess I'm thinking more, I'm hoping this gets us to the point in another year where we can actually remove the preferential once we have some data to look at. But I don't see how we're ever going to have data to look at unless we put it back on.
So if I can comment, I actually think that the effect of making a preferential recommendation now would be to suppress data going forward, because essentially LAIV wouldn't be used if we made a preferential recommendation right now. And we have good evidence that LAIV is probably as good for B and for H3N2 as IIV. So as Peter said, I don't think we have clear, compelling data that IIV is better than LAIV. We're in a uncertainty zone, but I don't think we can make that kind of preferential recommendation. And it also will undo the value of our having put LAIV back on the table.
Just my personal view on this. Preferential vote a vote for preferential use of that vaccine would be exactly what we've been alluding to, and that is overwhelming, uncontrovertible superiority of IIV over LAIV, and that's not there. I mean, if you add pluses and minuses, they're probably okay depending on the season, and there are others. There's data suggests that LAIV is better for some strains than others. So I think that there's no incontrovertible preference at this point or data that supports IIV.
Yes, Dr. Bernstein.
Just two quick comments. One is a comment was made that we wouldn't have data next year if we didn't reinstate LAIV4. Certainly at any time, the manufacturer could do a research study and get informed consent for a number of patients to be able to look at their new study, their new vaccine. The other question that I had relates to what Dr. Lee said, and that is whether the question was to have a category B for LAIV4 versus a category A for IIV. Is that what was being asked? Sorry.
No, that's those. We don't use those terms anymore, category A and category B. This is really a preferential recommendation that we're considering.
And we do have some language up there for y'all to look at that we hope is reflective of the current vote on the table.
Dr. Stevens.
So I second the motion. I still think that we have, my concern remains, let's assume that the Southern Hemisphere data comes back H1N1 as a warning sign of what could be the next season. Would we be changing our minds about this particular discussion? I was on just as a comment, I was on VRPAC a number of years ago when this vaccine was in fact approved, and and enthusiastic about the vaccine. It is a great platform. I think it should be developed. I'm just concerned about what we're recommending for the American people.
Thank you. Any more comments, questions? Who am I not seeing? Dr. Middleton.
Hi, Amy Middleman, Sam. I just wanted to suggest that maybe some of this could be taken care of in the background language, some of which was posted, which I think is a great place to discuss some of these in the absence of hard data. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Did you want to say anything?
Dr. Belanto? Anyone
Yeah,
else?
I will just state that as Dr. Groskopf did last year, there is a large amount of data summarizing all of the different vaccine choices available in the background document that accompanies our annual influenza recommendations. And we would additionally have that guidance that was put up earlier.
So could we call the question? Okay, this is a vote, yay or nay, to make a preferential recommendation worded as you see on the, an age-appropriate IIV or RIV is preferred over LAIV. And are we going to do this electronically, or which way would you like to do it?
So we will not be doing this electronically.
Okay.
We will be starting around the table.
All right.
I apologize, everyone. Trying to
Can
figure
we
this out.
start with Dr. Riley and go to your left?
Riley, no.
Walter, no.
Bernstein, no.
Moore, no.
Belongia, no.
Lee, yes.
Atmar, no.
Fry, no.
Hunter, no.
Pellegrini, yes.
Szilagyi, no.
Romero, no.
Bennett, no.
Stevens, yes.
Thank you. I think the noes have it in this instance. Would anyone like to make any last comments about this?
So
Okay.
The vote tally was 11 yeses and 3 nos.
Thank you. And now we'll go to VFC vote.
Thank you. Thank you, Cindy. To clarify, there were 11 noes and 3 yeses. I just said that
said it the opposite way.
opposite. I apologize. So the motion did not pass.
So now we'll go into the VFC resolution. So the purpose of the resolution, just to level set, where the wording here is yellow, it's a change from the current resolution. So it just kind of helps make it easier for you to spot the differences. So the purpose is different. The purpose of this resolution is to add live attenuated influenza vaccine to the VFC program. In the first section, which is the inactivated influenza vaccine section, what is just noted is that the 1 or 2 doses, and we've added, as noted in the current ACIP recommendations, that was not there previously. And then in this table, which was in the resolution previously, we're just making clear that these are the inactivated influenza vaccines that are in the program. There's no changes to the recommendation, the recommended intervals or dosage, or to the contraindications and precautions from the current resolution. The second part of the resolution is new. It's for live attenuated influenza vaccine, and the eligible groups are listed here. I'll give you a minute to look at that. As is the recommended vaccination schedule. This is the same wording that was in the resolution previously before we removed this section for LAIV. And then the recommended intervals and recommended dosages section, also unchanged from the resolution when this vaccine was in the VFC program previously. The contraindications and precautions point now to the latest published ACIP recommendation. And a statement about upcoming published statements being incorporated by reference.
Thank you very much, Dr. Santoli. Do I have a motion for, yes, Dr. Hunter, and
Second.
Dr. Romero? Thank you very much. Any discussion about the VFC vote? Seeing,
Is this a public comment in the back?
Well, just a question on one of the slides, if I may.
if you could sign up for public comment, then we could take it.
Okay.
But
I think in order to not wait, I think.
Can I make a statement?
Sure.
When there's a change in the age indications for a product that is published, we are able to update the table to reflect that as a matter of course. Just because if the vaccine is already in the program, we are able to update the age indications. And that wasn't the primary purpose of this discussion, but that is something that we will routinely do. I just wanted to make that for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, should we take a vote on VFC? We're not going to do electronic this time. Dr. Atmar, could you start?
Atmar, yes.
To your left.
Fry, yes.
Hunter, yes.
Pellegrini, yes.
Salaji, yes.
Romero, yes.
Bennett, yes.
Stevens, yes.
Riley, yes.
Walter, yes.
Bernstein, yes.
Moore, yes.
Belongia, yes.
Lee, yes.
Thank you very much. So that's 14 votes in favor of supporting the VFC recommendation, and I think we are ready for lunch. What I think we'll do is move the evidence-based recommendations to tomorrow morning. If you could possibly come back by 2:30, we'd be really appreciative, and then we'll have the anthrax session. Thank you very, very much.